If your team and the other team are tied at the end, you play this thing called a dream breaker. And I am not good at singles, and I'm deer in the headlights, and just like, and I knew I sucked. I knew going in that this was not my strength. I didn't want to have to do it, but I felt bad because I knew that I was going to lose those 4 points.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Pickle Me This. Be sure to subscribe, comment, and like so you'll be notified when new episodes drop every Saturday morning. You definitely don't want to miss them. Also, your support helps other pickleball enthusiasts find us too. Everyone has a story. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pickle Me This. I'm your host, Deirdre, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Pamela, a B2B technology writer and storyteller who's making waves both on and off the pickleball court. Pamela came to athletics later in her life, but has since created the inspiring Black Girl Magic Pickleball Group, bringing more inclusion and joy to our favorite sport. Her league team is known for the refreshingly fun and relaxed approach to competition, proving that pickleball is about so much more than just winning. And I should know because I played against her in the league. One of my favorite teams.
I think you won, though.
One of my favorite teams, and I'm not just saying that. One of my favorite teams
you.
to play. So welcome, Pamela. So excited to have you here.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
So I think a good place to start is just tell me about your first experience with pickleball. Like, what drew you to the sport initially?
I'm not quite sure. I played tennis. I started tennis late. I started playing when I was 40. So, first, this is a racket. This is what you do with it. So I really didn't have any background in it, but I really enjoyed it. And I think I just heard about pickleball, and I knew I was living in Chicago at the time. And there was a park that had pickleball, but they had to like lay their own lines, and I had to take the subway to get there, and it was just exhaustive to try to even get there because it was still very new. And so I tried it a little bit. I'm like, no, it's just no, 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 no. That was it. And then it just kept on cropping back up in my life somehow. And I was curious, but didn't quite know how to get in there. I had some friends who ended up saying, "Oh, I'll take you to the court," and they reserved a court, and we played, and it was fine, but I wasn't hooked yet. And what's funny is that there's a person that we both know, Glinda, a friend of mine I met at the dog park, and we were talking at the dog park, and she said she played pickleball. I'm like, "Oh, really? Where do you play?" And she told me where she played. She said, "Well, I'll take you sometime." And for some reason, that was the moment that it clicked. I went with her and went back again with her, and then again with her. And then I started going without her. And then I just got there all the time. And I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed the community. I enjoyed learning the skill. I enjoyed laughing and having fun. And I just got sucked in. And here I am.
That is so funny. I didn't know Glenda was your segue in
Yes.
because she was
Yes.
mine too. And the same
Oh, that's
thing.
funny.
She's like, you should play. I'm like, oh, I don't
Yes.
know. And by the way, I love Chicago, probably one of my favorite cities in the
Yes.
US.
Yes.
Oh, I just
Yes.
love that city.
Yeah.
Before pickleball, what was your relationship with sports and athletic activities?
Started playing tennis when I was 40.
Mhm.
And up until there, then sports and I had no relationship whatsoever. Not at all. Nothing. So I always look back, I flash back on like being in third grade, and you're in PE, and they're choosing teams.
Yes.
And I'm not the one. I'm not even close to being the one. Or, just doing the 50-yard dash and being the last person in the 50-yard dash, and just really not thinking of myself as athletic, and just figuring, okay, well, that's fine. And when my kids were young, my husband's very athletic, and so when my kids were young, we got them involved in sports as well as other things, but definitely sports. And I would spend a lot of time getting them standing in line to get them registered for things. And I eventually said, why don't I do something for myself? What would I like to do? And it was tennis. And so I learned it, and I just liked the way the ball sounded hitting the racket, and I just got into it. But I always thought that I would say that I played tennis, or I was trying to play tennis, or I was starting to play tennis. I wasn't a tennis player. And I think that's a mind shift that takes a little bit of time, uh, seeing yourself in a different way, not just trying, but actually having accomplished something.
Mhm.
and I remember talking to my daughter, it was probably just a few years ago, and I said something about not being athletic. And she's like, well, you've done sports nearly as long as she's been alive. And I realized, once I started playing tennis, then eventually I started running. I started running races, and I've done 2 marathons and a couple of half marathons
Wow.
and 10Ks and 5Ks and, all of that. And so, but I was still not thinking of myself as being athletic. So I think I'm kind of stepping into that now at the nice age of 62, that I am athletic, or I can it's sort of grow into what I want to be.
You sure sound athletic to me. And sometimes it takes seeing through somebody else's eyes to
Yes,
make us see ourselves differently, especially like you said, when you go back to your childhood and
yes.
that like I had the same thing. I remember being picked last for like
Mm,
not pickleball. My gosh, pickleball wasn't there. Being picked last for kickball. I
mhm.
still can feel like that little bit of pain
Oh,
still,
yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes,
So like you remember
absolutely.
that, so you think that you can't possibly be good enough for anybody to want to play with you. I don't know, it kind of sticks with you.
Mhm. It does. There's a lot of mental self-talk that goes on as I'm going through things. It's like, it's okay. That's not who you are anymore.
Mhm.
And even if you did suck, it's still okay.
It's still okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes. Oh, I
Exactly.
love that. Which brings me to my next question. Like I say, you're known for having such a fun, relaxed approach on the court. As I mentioned in the intro, we just played recently in a league together against each other. It was like a team. We had a league where we had teams of women, a women's league. I played against your team, and I was like, this team is so much fun. It was just a very relaxed it's the teams are definitely competitive during league, for sure. I mean, we're
Hmm.
there to
Right.
compete, but you all had such a relaxed way about you, and we had, like, little chit chats while we were waiting while our other team members were playing.
Right.
So, do you feel like that's always been your style, or did you develop that over time?
I think it's always been my style. I don't think I've ever been like the unfriendly opponent. I think that pickleball in general, not always, but in general, lends itself to that. It's very community based. It's very, you switch partners during open play, so there's really a lot of opportunity for you to get to know other people and not feel like there's a division between you and your opponents. But I think that in league, one of the things I had to learn, actually, having not having a background in athletics, is how to be competitive. How to be okay with, I want to win, instead of just always the, I want to be nice. You can do both, and you're just trying to navigate how to do that. And then also, when you're a high achiever, and I was academically, if not athletically, you are used to doing well, and then when you can't do well or you don't do well, you have to try to figure out how to navigate those feelings as well. And if you're used to getting all A's and you get a D or an F, it's like, wow, how. And then you're like, okay, again, that's that self-talk, that forgiveness, and then that trying to figure out that path to improving, and setting those goals that can lead you to improvement. It won't just be, I want to win this game, but I want to get my serves in. I want to get my serves in deep. I want to, you set tangible things that you can do
Mhm.
to try to improve.
Yeah. I like that. I think of that too when I'm out on the courts. It may not always be about winning, especially just in the
Mhm.
rec play.
Yeah.
There to practice my drop shots today, right?
Right.
Or get better or play up so that I can get better versus like I don't have to win every single game. And there are people on the courts that want to win every single game,
That
even
is
in
true.
rec play.
That is true. And I also think that, our team, we were scrappy, we were fighters, we were not at the top of the league. We knew we were not at the top of the league. We knew we were not going to be at the top of the league. And so we also had to set different goals, like I said, for what we wanted to achieve in that season.
Yeah. Yeah. When was the moment? Like, or was there a specific moment, like bulb moment for you that you were like, this pickleball was for me? Like you knew you were starting to get hooked?
I don't think there was a particular moment. I think just kind of looking back, and I thought, oh, well, I played Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, I'm going to play today. You just start looking at the pattern and realizing, oh, I'm deep in it. And you were thinking, oh, I just do open play. I'm not looking to be on a team. I'm not looking to do a league. Oh,
Mhm.
wait, hey, I'm on a league. Oh, I'm not looking to do a tournament. Oh, wait, hey, I'm in a tournament. So it's a slippery slope
It sure is.
of addiction, but and all your conversations are about pickleball. You start looking around and you realize, no, I'm in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What has surprised you the most about becoming an athlete later in life?
That's a good question. What a surprise to me. Um,
Or tell me about a moment you were like so proud of what you accomplished.
okay. This is not a pickleball moment. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay.
Totally good.
All right. So mile 20
Oh, I'm impressed.
of the Chicago Marathon. And first of all, I am not a fast runner. I'm a very, very slow runner. So whenever, and haven't even run in a couple of years, but when I was running, the first thing you do is when you go to when you sign up for a race, you look to see what the cutoff is and if it's meant for you or not. Because sometimes you're like, I'm not going to make that cutoff
Mhm.
when they start opening up the streets again and they're not providing any race support. And if it's like 5 hours and you take 7, then that may not be the
Mhm.
race for you. But anyway, I was at mile 20 and it was a struggle from like mile 7 to mile 20. But at mile 20, I realized, it might still be a struggle, but I will get down on my knees and I will crawl if I have to go the next 6.2 miles. I am going to get this. I am going to do this. This is going to happen. And it was just really nice to just know that mentally I was strong enough, I was going to will my body to
Uh-huh.
doing it no matter what happened. And so I think that was it's sort of a joyous moment in a way because I was filled with confidence that I was going to finish no matter what. Whereas the previous, mile 7 to 20, I was like, I don't know, it may not happen. I'm cramping. All those things are going on. But I use that sort of as a touch point sometimes when I think something's hard. I'm like, you've done hard things before.
Yes,
You've done this. You can do this.
I think there's something about athletics that happens with. So I do CrossFit is how I know Glenda, who brought me out to
Oh,
the courts.
yes,
But I
yes,
also have run a half marathon. That's my
yes.
max. I'm not doing any more.
That's amazing though.
But there's something about your mind, just like you said, like you want to actually quit at some point,
Hmm.
or you think you can't do or you're not going to last, but your mind is actually really powerful over your body, can help you really will you through. And then when you're
Right.
done, it's just such a proud moment of accomplishment. You're just like,
Yes.
heck yeah, I'm strong,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I did
Yeah,
that. I did
yeah.
that.
How has your mindset about winning and losing evolved since you started playing pickleball?
When I first started off, I wasn't looking at winning and losing because I was just starting, And of course, it'd be nice to win, but that was not my expectation. And I think the more you get into competitive environments, the more I mean, you're putting yourself there because you're looking for the challenge, and then because
Mhm.
you have the challenge, ideally it would be nice to win. Again, it's that balance of if you're playing another team, somebody is going to lose. That's just the reality of it. But sometimes when I'm playing and in my head, I'm like, oh, is I don't know if we're going to do this. I know I'm not. And then there's one basketball team, I think it was, I can't remember, NCAA's a couple of years ago, and they were like, why not us? And why not me? Why couldn't it be me? And
Yep.
I think that was maybe something that other people who've played sports throughout their lives may grow up thinking, but it wasn't something that just sort of came natural to me. Like, why wouldn't it be me? Why wouldn't I assume that I could do it?
Mhm.
And so I think that's a realization that came to me when I was playing pickleball that I use repeatedly. Sometimes like, well, there's no reason to assume that you won't win.
Yeah.
Why not you?
Yeah. Has there ever been a time that you've been on the courts where that you have played somebody and they were not happy about I'm trying to figure out
Oh,
how to word this. They
yes.
were not happy that they lost? Tell us about a time that happened.
When I played somebody, they weren't happy they lost. Yeah, I played people who, we've won and they were not happy, and you're just like, oh well,
Yeah.
sucks to be you. But
Sometimes they'll walk away. Sometimes they won't
yeah,
even really like they'll kind of half-heartedly,
right,
like
right.
clap paddles after the game. Sometimes they'll just kind of walk away anyway, but yeah, it is kind of interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
For
and,
sure.
and again, you shake it off because, well, you won, so it's okay. But again, sometimes I'm on the other side where, I lost and either I didn't play well or they were just better than me and I was getting frustrated that I wasn't able to counter them
Mhm.
or I didn't agree with calls that they made. I mean, things are going to happen and you know, you hope that you behave as an adult, but it can be hard because you're so invested at the moment. And then
Yeah.
you just try to, go back out and put your paddles back in the rack and try again.
Yeah.
So it's resilience. I think there's a resilience that
I
is
like that.
involved.
Resilience is a great word
Yeah.
to capture that. Let's talk about Black Girl Magic, Pickleball Club. So, what
Yes.
inspired you to create it?
When I've gone to the courts, people have been extremely friendly and welcoming. But one of the things I noticed early on is that there were not many people of color on the courts when I went, particularly Black women.
Mhm.
Statistically, I think Black people make up like 7% of pickleball players.
Mm.
And so I started, whenever I would see someone who looked like me, I would say, hi, we would just kind of connect. And as I met new people at different courts, they all said the same thing. They're like, oh, I didn't know that there was anybody else who looked like me who played pickleball. And so I was like, oh, we should connect. And so we started with like a text thread, and then that got crazy. And so we started with Group Me, and then that got nuts. And so we ended up with we're not right now we're a Facebook group. So it's really specifically for Black women who live or who play in the Raleigh area. Raleigh Triangle area. And we do meetups and we have had some drill sessions. We've had some sessions for helping some beginners just learn the very basics like here's a paddle, and just make it really fun.
Mhm.
It's like bring your best friend to pickleball because a lot of people my age or even younger who haven't played pickleball or haven't played a sport may be just intimidated with the whole idea. And although I know that there are definitely classes, there's open play, there's beginner meetups. Sometimes even those are still intimidating if you haven't played
Yeah.
and you don't see people who look like you. So all of those things. So this is sort of like a little segue. Find it, have fun, and then go to one of those things, and you
Mhm.
might feel more inclined to actually stick with it. We're trying to just do some things together. A bunch of us went to the PPA tournament in Cary this week. Got pictures and just cheered players together, and it was just a really fun time. So just
Oh,
looking for different things to do.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Tell me about the very first meetup. Like, what was that like? Did you organize it through meetup.com? I know you talked about how you asked people to join, but
Right.
like when the people showed up that day, how did you organize it? Like, talk me through what that looked like.
Well, I think actually the first time it rained. And so we ended up going out to dinner because I wanted to keep the momentum. And we've had a couple of different ones. Sometimes we do indoors, sometimes we do outdoors. The outdoor ones we've gone to Pleasant Park. We'll just say something like, we're all going to come meet up. Let's all come and play. And we just join in on open play, but we get to meet each other that way. Sometimes we've had specific events where, like, we've gone to Pinpoint or we've gone to Pickles and Play. We've actually had courts, reserved
Mhm.
courts for that. And so I think everybody there's just a fun, enjoyable interactions when people see that they're not alone. And I've heard people say that repeatedly, especially when we have the indoor ones because it's we've got the courts that are reserved and we're all together. And people are like, I just didn't know. And I think that as the sport is growing, I really want to make sure that underrepresented groups have a foothold in the
Mhm.
game and just feel like they can walk up to any court and feel at home. If they don't feel comfortable going by themselves, well, now they've got a group. They can say, "Hey, who's going to be at this court tomorrow? Let's go
Yes.
play." And it just makes it a little less intimidating. And so
Mhm.
that I think that's very helpful.
Yeah, I agree with you too. It is intimidating to go by yourself, for sure. And then especially if there aren't, like you said, if there aren't people like you, it must be even harder. So I totally
Right.
get that aspect.
Right. And you can play with everybody. It's not
Mhm.
saying that you can't, but I'm just saying that we do that all the time and it gets exhausting, frankly. And so sometimes it's just nice. Like if a woman were to always go to a court where it's always men, You can do that and you can hang. And it's not that you cannot play with them.
Mhm.
It's just that sometimes, we all say that, oh, I just want to have a girls' game. I just want to have a women's game. Because sometimes the energy is just a little different and it's just brings something that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has creating this community changed your own relationship with the sport?
Hmm. I think it's made me look at all the different aspects of the sport. It's not just playing pickleball, but it is, other organizations. What other organizations are out there that are doing this as well? How can, I would ideally, how can we grow the game for juniors? How
Mhm.
can we grow the game? How we can get university students involved? How can we again, I was talking about at the PPA, and we were making a point of cheering any of our women of color who were competing. The pros. Jesse Irvine, who actually came and did a session with our group, pro player, Tyra Black, and Etta. I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name right now, but and then we had some of our players who were playing in the PPA in the amateur division, and just going there and just we saw the one of the two Black women referees, and just
Oh,
all the things that we notice because it's so rare,
yeah.
and just really trying to see how the different tentacles of how this can grow, not just my group, but just those connections can grow, and how we can help support people who are in the sport and just encourage them.
Yeah. I love that you're creating this community and making it more inclusive for people because it really I think pickleball really is about the community and
Mhm.
the social aspect of it. So I think it's fabulous. Um, how has pickleball transformed your own mental well-being? Like a lot of people on the podcast have
Mhm.
talked about how it's changed their life a little bit. And
Right,
it might not be groundbreaking, right? But
right,
it's usually some kind of health benefit, like mental health benefit for each of us. So how has it
right,
helped you?
right. Well, I mean, I would say, first of all, physically, you're more active. I
Yes.
try to be active anyway, but this one doesn't feel like work.
Right?
This is like,
Right?
I'm going to go play pickleball. And it's like, oh, I should work out. No, I'm going to play pickleball. Wait, it's either or. No, it's the same. Um, I think about this because I think about when they talk about people aging, and they say one of the issues, what you really need is you need the physical interaction, you need the
Mhm.
social interaction, you need the mental interaction.
Mhm.
I think the strategy, as you're looking at pickleball and you're trying to figure out, you're always thinking. You're thinking about, oh, how do I want to hit this ball, or where should I do, or what? More likely, what should I have done? Um, but I think I think, it helps in all of those ways that I think are particularly great for at any age, because the age of, pickleball players is goes from 8 to, or
Mhm.
probably before 8 to whatever. But I think it's very helpful. I think for me, the other thing is I'm trying to learn how to play smarter. Whatever, and then, yeah, I guess that means more strategic, because
Yes.
if I'm playing against someone who is younger, taller, male, bigger, wider length,
Bigger arm
I'm
span.
yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. I need to figure out how to outsmart them to the best of my ability, and so I think that it's always it keeps my mind working, which I think is very helpful. And you're being outside, and by the time you come back, you're just like, oh, I'm good. You have a tough day at work, you go outside, you go play, or you go inside and go play, and you're just focused on that for a while.
Yes.
And the nice thing is, once it's done, it's done. You once you do game, my husband will sometimes ask me, yeah, did you win? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe,
Same.
because I played a couple. I'm like, I played a couple games. I don't know how it happened. I just know it was fun. So I love that a lot.
Yeah. It's kind of funny when you said like go to work out. It's not going to work out because going to work out, even when I still go out to work out, I'm like, "Ugh, I gotta go. And I push myself to go, but
Yeah.
never do I say that about pickleball.
No,
Never.
no, no.
I'm like usually running out the door. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go.
Yes. Yes. It's like kids going outside to play again.
Yes.
And
It's
we don't
exactly
get
like
that.
that.
We don't give ourselves permission to do that much. So
Mhm.
I love it.
Yes, me too. Let's talk about funny stories on the court, like both good and bad. What's your biggest pickleball pet peeve or something that drives you
Oh.
crazy when you're playing people? See,
Okay,
this is
so
easy to
this
answer,
I know,
right?
I know, I know, I know. Okay, so the rules are that if a ball is on my side, the ball, my opponent's hit a ball, and I can't tell whether it's in or out, and my partner can't tell if it's in or out, that I have to call it in because I cannot say that's out. That's the rule. But sometimes people will say, "Oh, let's just redo." And I'm like, "No, well, no, because now you're getting the second chance to get it in, whereas before it's just not the rule." And then there's that angst because people are like, "Well, don't get upset about it," and then they're not necessarily saying it to me, but just the idea of it's only pickleball. And I understand that it is, and we've just been talking about how fun it is and how relaxed, but at the same, you see, you're chuckling over there. But it's also an issue of, what rules are you going to follow? Do you step in the
Mhm.
kitchen? Do you serve a certain way? So I guess that would be my pet peeve.
I once played against somebody who wanted to redo a whole bunch of shots. I mean, within one game, like a lot.
Yeesh.
And their excuse was that their partner was newer. And I wouldn't say the partner was newbie, just like newer. I think she just really wanted to practice her serve. So she wanted to keep, like, if she got her serve out, she wanted to redo it. And the first couple times, I'm like, okay, because we're just here for a rec
Right,
play.
right,
But after a
right.
while, I was like, slowing down the game. I'm impatient.
Uh,
Slowing down the game. And then also, I'm like, why does she keep getting a redo?
right, right.
I
Because you don't
don't
get
get
to
a redo.
redo the serve. You don't get to redo the return, do you?
No, I'm like, why does she keep getting a redo? So after a while, we're like, no more.
That's
No
funny.
muss.
That's funny. Now I will say, if somebody's new, then I'll be like, we're not looking to play this. We're not looking to play to win in any way. We're looking to help them enjoy the game so that they
Mhm.
get hooked and want to come back.
Mhm.
But if it's more competitive, that's when I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know about that."
Yeah. What's your most people love to hear not only the funny things, like the
Mhm.
fails or the embarrassing points,
Ah,
because we all have
mhm,
them.
mhm,
What's
mhm,
yours?
mhm. I would mine is not a moment. It is a stretch of time when I, for the life of me, could not get my serve in. I could now my serve starts a point. It's not going to win a point. It's not going to ace anybody. It's not going to do any. It's going to just land in that big little
Give you a
rectangle
chance to get a
box.
point.
Just start. I found so many ways to not hit that box. I could hit it too far to the right, too far to the left, too far, and I mean, this went on for pretty much a year. And, and then it got in my head, and so once it's in my head, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I just," and then you feel
Yes.
bad because I'm hoping my partner will serve because I can't, but then you don't want your partner to feel completely responsible for every point that you win, and I don't it was yeah, it was very, very stressful, because, again, it seems like it should be a simple thing, and it was just messing me up all the
Mhm.
time, and in the last, probably 4 months, it's gotten better, and I just keep my fingers crossed because 'cause I'm like, I don't know what started it, so I don't know what ended it, and I don't know what will start it again, so we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, you have to wait and see. And the hardest part sometimes too is just your head plays games with you. It like messes
Yes,
with you.
yes,
And the more you like
yes,
try to think about it, like the harder it is. You kind of
yes,
almost just have to like, and
yes.
I know this is way easier to say than do, but you just kind of have to like let it go,
Yeah,
Not think about it
that's
too
what they
much.
say. Yeah, yeah.
But like I said, I know it's easy to say, but harder to do.
Yeah, and then you forget about it and you serve out, you're like, "Oh, yeah, I remember it now."
Mhm. Yeah. How does the social aspect of pickleball compare to other communities you've been part of? I feel like it has a definitely a special, different vibe to it.
Because when you go to open play, I would say specifically with that
Mhm.
versus league, because you are interacting with a lot of people, and because you may be waiting for a court, while other people are playing, and you're waiting with other people who are also waiting, there's a lot of interaction, which I think doesn't necessarily happen in other sports. For example, like in tennis, it's so much so planned, and you get to the court and you're on the court, so you're not
Mhm.
necessarily sitting down talking to people outside of your team as
Correct.
much.
Yeah.
There's a running community, which I think is wonderful as well. I've been part of those as well, but I think pickleball is just a little bit, just requires a little less intensity. So it's more enjoyable. So you're just a little bit more laid back. Usually
Yes.
with the running community, you're either getting ready for the run and you're running and you're suffering, or it's after the run and you're like just so glad it's over. But I think with pickleball, you're just kind of enjoying the whole process. And I think it's different for different people because I like the chit chat.
I
I
do
don't
too.
I don't like it when it's like a 45-minute wait, but I do enjoy when it is a little bit of a wait and you're just talking to other people and getting to know them.
Mhm.
So I think that definitely makes me feel connected.
Yes. Pickleball definitely provides that opportunity. I think in smaller settings too, which more people are comfortable with, like an
Mhm.
introvert. So if you get on the court and you have a new partner with open play, it's way easier just to chat with that one
Yes.
person.
Right.
And then you can carry on that conversation after the game's over while you're waiting for the next game.
Hmm.
But then it's a whole different aspect. I used to be part of run clubs too, where you come in after the run and all of a sudden there's like a big group of people there. And
Mm.
it's kind of like a
Right.
networking event. Like I remember I used to be paranoid of like going to networking, like
Oh,
work networking events. Cause you walk into
yes,
a room and
yes.
there's like 50 people and there's some people already paired off and you're like, where do I go?
Yeah.
Who do I
Yeah.
talk to?
I
So
agree.
I feel like
I
pickleball has a
agree.
little bit more of that opportunity.
Right. And I would also say, so I lived in Chicago. Oh, I lived here, lived in Chicago, came back here. So I came back here in 2020, the time that socializing was
You
not
did?
happening. Yes, yes. And so I started playing pickleball here, maybe 2021, but I work from home. And I'm just kind of thinking, I really didn't have a regular group to interact with. And so with pickleball, I was able to do that because, you start seeing the same people on Mondays that you see when you come out on Thursdays. And that really helped me because I didn't have a way really of connecting with a lot of people because I was in many ways new to the area and didn't have a workplace to go to. So I really that really helped me feel part of things.
Yeah. It definitely makes you feel a part of a community for sure.
Mhm.
Have you found any surprising parallels between storytelling in your career versus like the stories that unfold on the pickleball court?
Well, first of all, I would say because I'm a freelancer, so I am not in the office and I'm not tied directly. I say that I lay the groundwork because I was going to say there's a lot of underlying drama in the
There
pickleball
is.
world, and there could be in the work world. It's just that in my circumstances, I'm not part of that because I freelance. And so I just kind of talk to one person, do my work, talk to one person, do my work. Um, but I mean, I think it's humans in either case. So you're going to get the the friendships, you're going to get the more than friendships and then the
Mhm.
breakups and all the things. I was actually just watching on the pro world that the top woman Annalie Waters just broke up with Catherine Parento for the doubles
Oh,
team. Yeah, so
I
you
didn't
heard it here
know
first.
that.
Yeah, and so like I go to the Facebook groups, the pickleball groups, and they're like speculation on who they're gonna. It might as well be a soap opera, really.
Yes.
But I mean, it's just I guess it's just human nature that you just kind of want to know what people are doing, and
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting to hear about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably not for me. Is there a close connection between the work and the pickleball and that social aspect?
Out on the courts, there are so many people and different jobs and different
Mm.
histories
Hmm.
in their life. It is like
Yes.
fascinating to meet people. Have you had
Yes.
any people that you've met that have like intersected with your professional career, especially as a
Um,
freelancer?
right. Right. I not that I know of. And what's interesting is though is that like you said, you don't necessarily talk to people. Well,
Hmm.
I would talk to people, but it's usually about pickleball.
Yes.
And then you realize, oh, they have a whole other life.
Yes.
Besides, it's not nearly as fun as the pickleball life, but they have a whole other life. And it is interesting, especially I think it's really interesting when you talk to somebody or somebody who's very new to pickleball, and you forget that they can also be very, very accomplished in something else. But in this one realm where you see them, they may not be experienced yet.
Mhm.
And so, you have to make sure that you're giving people respect overall and not just making an assumption that, oh, well, they don't play pickleball or they haven't played pickleball that much, and not realize that they could be a brilliant, physician or
Yes.
artist or anything like that. And maybe like Ted Lasso said, be
Yes.
curious about them and find out a little bit more.
I know it's like sometimes you can know somebody on the courts for so long because you do have
Mhm.
like those I say higher level surface conversations,
Right,
or even like you get to know them pretty well, but you don't really talk about careers and like what you do
right,
for a living. Because I play
right.
pickleball courts, like who really cares? Not in a bad way. It's like it just
Right,
shouldn't
right,
matter, right? We're all just trying to
right,
connect as like
right.
human beings. It is really kind of cool once you get to know somebody for their personality and who they are as a person to then find out this whole other side about them. It's just like starting to like put these pieces of their puzzle together.
It
It's
is. It
fun.
is. It is. It's
It's
a lot
fun.
of fun. But part of the problem is that those conversations often are very fast because you're in the middle of a great conversation and, "Oh, my cord is up. I gotta go. Bye." And then you never finish the conversation. But
Yes.
yeah.
That definitely happens. I'll be like, "Wait, I'll come back." But like you said, half the time you just you try to, you think you will and you don't
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
forget by the time that
Because yeah, right. Because you're never in the same flow again.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And by then
Yeah.
you've already had 11 points plus and you're already forgot long gone
Yeah.
about like what you're even talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
At
I
least
couldn't
I
keep
have.
remember the score on the court. So how could I remember the conversation?
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, a few final questions before we wrap up.
Okay.
What advice would you give someone who thinks they're too old or not athletic enough to start playing pickleball?
I'd say if you're interested, come out. Some people think that they're too old to play, but they have that desire. And if they don't do it, they're still going to get older. So
Mhm.
you might as well go ahead and do it now. I would say make sure you stretch first because it's
Good
important because a
advice.
lot of people don't do it. With any kind of, physical activity, stretch first, wear the right shoes, and especially at the beginning, if a ball just kind of goes out of reach, good shot, just tell them good shot, don't try to go for it because you don't want injuries, but you
Right.
also want to be active. So I'd say there's plenty of opportunity out there. It's just making sure that you stay safe and you tailor it to your area of comfort and then just kind of build from there.
Mhm. Yeah. And what's the worst that can happen? Right? You don't like it, you don't go back. Or
Exactly.
you don't like it for now and maybe you go back again in a year. That's you just
Exactly,
talked
that's what
about that in
happened.
the beginning
Yes,
of your intro.
right,
You just never
exactly,
know. A
exactly.
lot of people have said that it wasn't they weren't hooked on it right away. Almost everybody
Hmm.
I speak to says that, including myself. The first time I
Yeah.
played, I'm like, "Oh, it's fun." But
But
yeah, but I wouldn't say I was hooked. Like it
right,
took me a few games to get hooked,
right.
for sure.
And then once you are,
Yes, once you are, then you're in trouble. How
so
has
true.
pickleball changed the way you see yourself?
Hmm. I see myself now a lot more social than I thought I was. Um, I I feel like I know people and I've always enjoyed connecting with people, but I feel like now I have even more of an opportunity to do that.
Mhm.
And not just that I can connect with people, but I can help connect people.
I
Um,
love
so,
that.
for example, we were at the PPA and tournament, and there is a coach that I know, great coach, and he was playing at the amateur level. He was playing at a pretty high level, and there's a woman that I know who was also playing at a pretty high level, and I was like, wait, she plays a high level, he plays a high level. They should meet each other. And so I was telling him about her, and I said her last name, and he said, "Oh, she's Nigerian," and that's where he's from. And she was standing right there, so I introduced them, and they were like, it was it was very heartwarming for me to see that connection because they were so excited to see each other because they were from the same country, and of course, they probably feel like they don't see each other or people from their countries
Yeah.
here very very often. And, I don't know whether or not they'll end up playing mixed doubles and, get gold from now on or what, but I just felt like they felt a little bit of comfort by seeing somebody. And so that made me very happy.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. A connector. You're a
Yeah.
connector.
Yeah.
What's your favorite pickleball story that you haven't had a chance to share yet?
Hmm. I will say in the league that we played, you play doubles. Unless your team and the other team, you play like, I think it's like total of 6 matches. If your team and the other team are tied at the end, you play this thing called a dream breaker singles. Singles is not my game. And so I tend not to practice it because you're only going to play it if your team is tied.
Right?
And so I would rather spend my time playing doubles, which you know you're going to be doing. I am not good at singles, and I'm deer in the headlights when it comes to singles. And so we our team had to do it twice. And the first time I was absolutely deer in the headlights and just like, and I knew I sucked. I knew going in that this was not my strength. I didn't want to have to do it, but everybody in the team has to play like 4 points. But I felt bad because I knew that I was going to lose those 4 points. And I did. And but the second time in that series that we did, I played better, and I was no, I think actually I hit the winning shot for our team, and I
Yeah.
was very excited that I was able to overcome that fear and at least perform. It didn't have to be that it was the winning shot, but at least it wasn't scared. And
Yeah.
so for me, that was a win.
Oh, I love that. It's funny that you say the singles too, because when I played the Dream Breaker, I always want to call it Dream Maker, Dream Breaker too.
Maybe
The
it
first
is
time,
that.
Pamela, I went to serve the ball, from the side,
Yeah.
and because I don't play singles either. I played singles
Yes.
back in tennis, but I haven't
Right.
I haven't played it, right? So I
Right.
forgot you're supposed to move to the middle of the court. Like I'm like still stuck on my
Yes.
side.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And
So
then
I
they hit it
serve
down the line. Like, how
and
did
then
that happen?
also I'm like, "Oh, Deirdre, move your feet, Deirdre, move your feet."
Right. And the strategies for playing singles and doubles are different. Like, in singles,
Yes.
I keep on wanting to rush up and no,
Yeah,
because
no,
they
yeah,
just pass
no.
you. And so, but again,
Mhm.
I'm not practicing it because I'm feeling like, how often
Yes.
am I going to do it? So I'm not going to get any better at it. But yeah,
Yeah, so I wanted to commiserate with you because I was a
I
deer in the
appreciate
headlights
that.
too. I'm like, "What am I doing?" And I got the court, and I'm like, "Sorry." And then you have to
Yeah.
go up again because you don't just play
Yes.
4. You
Yes.
definitely have at least one more turn,
Yeah.
if
Because I
not
think it
2 more
goes to, you
turns.
go to 21, I think, as a team
Yeah, I'm just like, "Oh,
winner.
that was funny. That
Yeah.
was a fun
Yeah.
fun time."
Yeah.
Well,
Moving
Pamela,
on.
thank you so much for joining us. This was
Thank you.
fun.
That was fun. This was fun. They're great questions. Made me think a lot.
All right, we'll see you later.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next time when a new episode drops each Saturday. If you like this episode, be sure to leave us a like, and we'll see you out on the courts. Bye.